It is exactly that. If you're not onboarding people correctly, they can cause harm within your culture.
Welcome to Marketing with Vino, the edutainment business growth podcast, mixing education and entertainment to make growing your service business much more fun. Your hosts, Quinton Venter, online marketing expert, and Gabby Kowalski, creator of the Business Freedom Formula, have a glass of wine and share powerful and up-to-date strategies to help grow your service business fast.
Hey guys, Quinton here with another amazing episode with Marketing with Vino. Joining us is the lovely Gabs. Welcome, Gabs.
Thanks, Quinton. Hey, everybody. Awesome to be chatting with you today, and fantastic to always spend some time with you, Quinton. Just a quick little bit of love to Quinton. I cannot tell you guys how happy I am to have the opportunity to actually chat with Quinton as often as we do now. This all started back in last year in November when we were sitting there having a glass of wine, talking about amazing marketing concepts, and decided, hey, someone should record this. And no looking back since, quite frankly.
Here we are.
Yeah, it was marketing with Vino at first sight. It really was.
And now we're up to episode 24. It has been an absolute amazing journey, and I'm here. For those of you watching us on YouTube, we are now starting our show on YouTube as well. I've been holding this bottle here. It's what I'm currently sipping on. It's a Tasmanian one again. It is beautiful. Gabs, what are you sipping on?
Well, we've got my famous Oyster Bay. I swear to God, I would not be surprised if Oyster Bay calls me and says, Gabs, thank you for the support.
You know what? I was this close today to buying Oyster Bay. Then I remembered, you enjoy it, you can have it.
It's mine. It's mine.
I'm going to go to the other island.
Upon that note, guys, I wanted to have a chat to you about the actual need to understand that your new clients need to be onboarded. So what do we mean by that? So when you, if you've ever done this before, and I'm kind of hoping that everyone has, if you get on a plane, and it could be flying to Sydney or flying to a different country, every single time you get on it, they do the safety thing. To be honest with you, it's been so long since I've paid attention. This is terrible. Normally that's when Gabby does stuff. Yeah, but they'll tell you exits are to the left, to the right. This thing will come. Goodness, Quinton, can you do a good version of this?
Yeah. No, I can't. I'm not going to try.
So clearly, Quinton and I have never
Life
been.
jacket. You need to pull it, and then it's got a whistle.
There was a whistle. It does. There we go. Terrible. Anyway, the terrible, not so good point that I've made with this is that everyone's onboarded the same way. They don't ask you, hey, have you been here before? They understand that there's going to be new people on that plane that may never have travelled with them before or have never travelled before. So what they do is they always do an onboard, and that means that they're telling people of the rules of the plane. They're going, okay, in the plane we're like in a different country. This is how we function here. Yeah. If you've never been on one before, this is what you need to know in order for you to thrive in this environment. So what we want to do is we want to have a chat to you about how do you onboard your clients, your new clients, to make sure they thrive in your environment, because there's going to be certain things you do that are different to everybody else in your industry. They're unique to you, and you want to let them know. Or there could be certain things about what it is that you do that they need to know. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. One of them is, say you're a hairdresser and someone comes in with really damaged hair saying, fix me. The last thing you want to do is say, yeah, no problems, let's fix you. The best thing you can do is onboard them in the sense of, okay, this is where your hair's at. This is where we want to get it to. This is the process that you're educating them on the world of your genius. Yeah. You know hair back to front. They don't. They're expecting you to fix their hair in one session. And if you don't, they'll leave an angry customer. Yeah. But if you educate them, bring them into your world and let them know how to speak the language of your world, they'll actually be a happy customer. So for example, imagine if you got onto a plane for the first time and they didn't tell you that the exits are here and the air mask comes down and here you have a life jacket, and sort yourself out first before you help everybody else, and then do this thing. Now say that didn't happen and there is a problem, and all of a sudden you're sitting there.
You'd be looking to the person next to you like, do you know?
Yeah, and you're in panic and you don't know what to do. And then there's these jackets and these air things and people, and you don't know the language. You've literally been put into, it'd be no different to being like dropped into China without an interpreter. So you want to be thinking to yourself, how can I make sure that this new person coming on board understands what we do, how we do it, why we do it, the process of it. Please don't spend 2 hours giving them a lecture about this. It's like, think of a quick way you can get the fundamentals down so you can go boom, 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 boom. This is how it works. These are the rules. This is what's going to get you there, and always thinking, what do they need to know for them to be happy and thriving in this environment? No different to the plane scenario. Toilets are here and there. Yep. As a result, we're not running around trying to pee on people. It could happen. What would you add to that, Quinton?
I would add to that to basically it's giving them a time frame, a roadmap. It's literally, this is the end destination and this is how we're going to get there. The way I like to think about it is we're about to get onto the freeway. There's that piece of road that is getting us up to speed so that we don't slow anyone down on the freeway. We don't hinder, we don't cause any accidents, and we can actually be part of the general traffic. So it is getting them up to speed. In the agency, it's interesting. We are at that stage where we started mapping out exactly what we do, how we're getting our clients success. Like literally, we need to do this first, then set up the account and then open up that, get their access, have the onboarding call and this and that. All these steps have been outlined, but we're now in the process of just putting it in a beautiful chart. So whether it's an infographic, so that when we speak to new clients, they know that within the first 2 weeks, those few things need to be ticked off. We need to have an onboarding call. We need to get access. The payment needs to go through. Then we need to create the avatar. We need to research the avatar, and then we start doing some tests. Those things happen within the first 14 days, and then from the 14 days till the next 30 days, this is what they can expect. And I'm thinking we're going to create it in such a visual that gets our people on board. But if you're someone like a hairdresser specializing in curly hair or specializing in thin hair or thick hair, you would have your own thing, your own piece as well of this is where they want to be, this is where they are, and then the process in between, and explaining that to your clients in a way that they can consume it straight away. It's like that onboarding. It's not an extra mile of road. It is literally just a few hundred meters to get them up to speed. So something they can consume straight away, something that they're familiar with, that the expectations are set for them in their own mind as well.
Exactly. It's, getting that this person needs to understand the territory. You're an expert at what you do. Your staff is an expert at what they do. The client isn't. Sometimes your client's never had this experience before. You could be a kinesiologist, a naturopath, or whatever. Insert whatever cool thing you do here. And it's either one, they've never experienced your service before, or two, they've never experienced it the way you do it. So for me, whenever I add another client onto my mastermind programs, we actually have a chat. The first thing I do, even though, ultimately we end up working more online and in seminars together, the first thing we do, Quinton, is we have a chat together. And I literally run an online workshop for them specifically. It's recorded for them. They get a copy of it forever. And we go deep on their stuff to get them, taking off really quickly. But the very first thing I cover with them is this is how you live in this world and function best. We've got webinars twice a month. This is when you get the information. This is when this happens. This is when that happens. Do you have any questions? Are you completely clear on how the whole thing works? Sweet. Does that make sense? Otherwise, if I don't tell them, hey, if all they know is that they've got 2 webinars with me a month and a live workshop with me a month, if I don't tell them, I'm going to send you the link to join the webinar on the day of the webinar. Just make sure that you use this calendar to map out all the webinars for the program, and you know that you're going to get a link to join that day. If I don't tell them that, they're literally in limbo. Yeah. They're like, they haven't, I know it sounds dumb, but if they're not told, hey, put these dates into your planner and honor them and plan everything around them, and I'll send you this on this day for you to be able to join, it seems simple, but if they don't know it, remember the first month of if you listen to our last podcast, we're talking, if you didn't, I'm just going to give it to you again. Imagine whenever you're doing anything new for the very first time, honestly, you're a little bit like, I don't know, like a wild animal. You're a little bit like confused and, like a bit overwhelmed, and when you're in that state, you're not that resourceful normally as a human being. So your clients coming in and working with you for the first time could have expectations that quite frankly are ridiculous because they don't know the territory of what you're doing. And there'll be certain things that they'll expect that, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with your onboarding, it's very important that you set, this is how we function, this is why we function this way, and these are all the details. Do you have questions?
Yeah, that is perfect. It's also a way of how you can improve your systems as well. From if you're currently, the way we started is we mapped out what we currently have, and then we've mapped out where we ideally want to be. And throughout that process, with clients that have come onto the agency, more so a recent client as well, we are now starting to notice questions that they are asking that we haven't covered in the onboarding. So we are constantly now updating it, where we're adding those new sections in that we need to cover these concerns. Like it's like that new staff member starting and he's like, where's the bathroom? Where's this? Where's that? It's when you're on the airplane and you're like, where's the bathroom? What happens if there's an emergency? Where should I go? Where's the oxygen mask? Do I put it on first or do I put it on someone else first? Life jacket, etc. We now know that our clients are starting to ask the same questions over and over in the beginning. Mainly, for example, it is, when do we start seeing some results? So we now know to start putting something in front of them to give them some expectations, so the expectations are set. The same would be with your business. How are you currently doing it? And then where are the gaps? Where can you improve? I also like to think of it from a wowing expectation. Where can we over-deliver for the client? If we can beat them to the punch, if we can beat them before they ask that question and we can cover all of their things in their head, that makes us look like rock stars. So,
and honestly, it creates the most phenomenal experience for them, because the truth of the matter is, it's just, they will feel so at home and so happy and so comfortable. They won't know why. It'll be because your onboard rocks.
Yeah.
It's because your onboard integrates them so beautifully. To me, I was speaking to Quinton about this before we started recording. I'm always looking at how to improve my onboard. This is not a project that you do done and dusted. You want to constantly be looking at, how can I make this better? You go somewhere else and you have a shit experience, ask yourself, how can I take this experience that wasn't so great and look at maybe how I could be creating a similar experience in my business? What can I do to make sure none of my clients ever feel this way? So if you go to somebody else's business and, for argument's sakes, little things like, you book a 1:30 appointment, but when you get there, you're waiting 30 minutes. If you know your business runs in a way where you don't honor appointment times, you want to let your clients know that instantly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's not that's just how we function, because certain people will get there and they'll be pissed that they weren't told. So instead, if you know that that's how it functions, then you tell them, look, we do everything we can to make sure that this flows, but sometimes we might get stuck on a problem with a client and we never leave our clients incomplete, just like we'd never leave you incomplete, Quinton, which means that even though we've allocated an hour for your appointment, if it needs to be an hour and 15 minutes, we honor the outcome for you to make sure you get your result, and we do that for our other clients. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So if you show up at 1:30, there is a possibility that we may not be able to let you in until 1:40, but we've got a TV and we've got magazines and we've got notebooks and we've got, Jenga and...
Well, you're not leaving them hanging. It's when they're in unknown territory. If there's any uncertainty in your client's mind, that's when they start to come up with things. And Gabby was explaining this to me before we had this call. When people go into an emotional state and rational, where they just start coming up with things, and because they don't know what to make up from the situation, and you're risking yourself by letting these people make up their own minds, which could damage your reputation and them coming back to you. So it is you want to be able to give them certainty throughout that entire journey until they get their results.
Yeah, to me, look, honestly, I reckon some of the best metaphors I could use for this is if you've ever traveled overseas. If you go into a completely different culture and you don't respect the fact that it's a different culture, you could find yourself in very weird situations where people are rude to you, you know, or you accidentally offend people purely because you don't know how to speak the cultural language of where you're at, you know. And so this is where you're wanting to get these people to come on board. If you're China, you want to get them speaking Chinese or have a translator ASAP.
Yeah.
I remember I was born in Poland and I left when I was a little girl. I left when I was 5. And I remember growing up in Australia and always feeling like, you know, I wanted to go back and, you know, connect to my roots. And I had this thing, I think it's just because I was a teenager and I'm just, you know, you often can be a bit lost and confused at those in those years. I thought to myself, maybe I'm so different because, well, I don't feel like I fit in because, you know, I'm Polish, I'm not really Australian, and I had all this confusion going on. Now I'd totally just say it was because I was a teenager. So I flew to Poland at the age of, I think, 20. And so hadn't been there for 15 years, right? Not grown up in this culture in Australia. I fly there and the culture's so different, Quinton, that, oh my God, like my cousins would pee themselves laughing at all the silly things I did. For example, when I got there, it was the end of their summer holidays and my auntie had a sweet shop where she sold amazing European sweets.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the sweet shop helping her set up because she's opening in a couple of days. And I literally just got there. This is like the second day of me being there. I'm in the sweet shop and, oh, couldn't believe it. It was like this moment. If you've ever seen Ice Age and, you know, that little, whatever it is, you know, finds its nut, it was that kind of moment. There was a box of gingerbread cookies, like coated in this delicious European dessert chocolate. Oh, and I hadn't had them since I was a kid. They were like big, shaped in hearts and all sorts of things.
That would be like heaven for a child, like going to a sweet shop. It's like, whoa.
I was 20, but anyway. So I'm like, oh, I see this, like, I remember them from being a kid. I literally, there's this memory. There's not that, you know how as a kid, you don't really remember that much stuff. There's just key moments. I remembered these cookies.
Yeah.
Hadn't had them in 15 years. And I'm like, oh, my auntie sees my drool, and I ask her, are they those cookies? And she says, yes. She gives me the whole box. There's like 12 big cookies in this box. I'm not going to lie to you, Quinton, it wasn't enough. I open this box and I bite into this cookie and I swear it's like it melts in your mouth. It was soft and delicious and perfect and it was like heaven in my mouth. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm enjoying them. I'm onto my second cookie now and a lady walks in. The little bell goes ding ding ding. The lady walks in and my auntie says to her, you know, sorry, we're actually closed. We're opening up in a couple of days. We're just setting up. I look at my cookies. I look at her. I think, oh, I could give her one of my cookies because she won't get cookies for a couple of days. I've got these cookies. I look at my cookies. I look at her. I'm like, I don't want to share my cookies. Oh, look, just don't be an asshole. Give her a cookie. She's not going to get cookies for a couple of days. Oh, right then. So I turn my box to her and I say, would you like a cookie? She does this. Oh, storms
offended.
out,
Wow.
offended. I'm standing there going, what the happened? What? My auntie says to me, you can't do that. You can't address someone as you. Here, we address everyone as a Miss, Sir. So it would have to. You can't use the word you, even though it exists.
Yeah.
So I spoke Polish with English grammar. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there, you're not allowed to say you go, sir, can I offer sir a cookie?
Yeah, I relate to that.
Yeah, because you would, right? So my auntie had to give her like all this free stock, like she had to give her like $50 or $100 worth of free, sweets, smoosh her, like suck her up her bottom just to get her back. Explaining, this is my niece. She's been out of the country for 15 years. She doesn't understand, and finally got her back on board. So these are the little things that happened to me in Poland when I returned. My cousins would literally set me up and go ask that man where the toilet is.
Do you know? Oh, damn.
And I'd try. I'd be like, excuse me, sir. Do you? Damn it. It's funny though. I still remember coming home. I was there for a month. It was beautiful. God, the country's stunning. The country's stunning. That was my dog saying hello to everybody. I still remember coming home, landing in Sydney, of course, about to catch a plane to Melbourne, and there's this massive sign across the airport that says, "G'day, welcome to Australia." And I read it, and I'm like, it feels so good to be relaxed. And then this woman's running, she worked at the airport, this employee of the airport's running, towards me, literally nearly knocks me and goes, "Oh, sorry, love, nearly got you there." And smiles and keeps running, and I think, it feels, my whole nervous system just goes, it feels so good to be home, do it again. But it was just, because there, just different culture. There there's like a full-on professional, sir, ma'am, miss, like there's this real, nothing against it. It's just I didn't get prepped. You know what? My family didn't onboard me.
They didn't.
And so I just kept offending people. Excuse me. This is the point though. And, we want to complete this this episode by having you start asking yourself questions, start asking questions in the area of what do they need to know in order for them to thrive in my environment that I may take for granted. And now start, putting your ears out. If a client complains about anything, don't get defensive. Take it as feedback and then sit there and go, how can I prevent them from having that experience? How can I add that into my onboarding process? That if ever a client complains to you, even if you think they're wrong, they're not. That old saying of the customer's always right came from this. The customer's always right in the sense of if you take what they say and be resourceful with the information, you can build better systems to create more raving fan clients moving forward, grow, and be a true ruler, a true leader in your business. What would you like to add to that to wrap this up and inspire our people?
That was a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Cookies.
It is exactly that. If you're not onboarding people correctly, they can cause harm within your culture. It's another membership site, membership program that I'm part of, where they have this unique online group, Facebook group, where there's thousands and thousands of people in there. And they've done the onboarding so specifically that it literally sends out emails to tell you, all right, you've just gotten into this group. Here's what you need to do first. This is how you introduce yourself, how to structure your introduction post, what you need to say in it, what to include in it, and so on. Basically, that is the first part. Then what you're going to expect is people going to start commenting on it, welcoming you to it as well. These are the key founding people of the group. Very important. Then they go into the next day. They literally have a 14-day email series of how should you be engaging in this group. If you've got any questions, what questions should you be asking? If you're thinking about these kinds of questions, we already have this knowledge base here. You can just go search here. But if you have anything specific, reach out to these people in these communities. Here's X, Y, and Z. They're literally 14 days of onboarding you just how to be part of their highly functional Facebook group. Now, the group itself comes with a membership of $100 US, so it's a high price point, but you're paying for it with the amount of people that are in there that have made that culture.
It's $100 a month, yeah?
$100 a month, yes.
Yeah.
To be part of the elite.
US, yes.
Yeah. To be part of the elite, within that group. And these guys that have started it, they value that, they treasure that because they know who's in it. So
and it sounds like they onboard beautifully.
They have to, because if they're bringing people like myself who's starting out, for example, compared to people who've been doing this since the beginning of internet, they don't want those people to be annoyed. They value those people, and they also value the new people coming on, that they need to build up that experience. So they basically, like that highway, everyone in that group, they're going at a certain pace. They go. What is that on-ramping process? And they've learned that it takes a 14-day series of answering questions, setting expectations, and everything in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And just to add to this, if you are a coach, mentor, consultant, it's even more important to you. So, when it comes to that particular practice, if you're running that kind of business model, please understand you want to be able to look at, okay, what's the first 100 days? You want to go first 100 days for a client. Let's map up the first 30. What do they need to? How do I nurture them? Because if they're in a model where there's other people in it. So if you've got a coaching program where people can jump in and be in the mastermind at any time, it's not linear. So linear is different. But if you've got something where you're adding people, like to a Facebook group, to a mastermind where people have been with you for 4 years, and then there's brand new ones, you want to map out a really awesome onboard to get the new people up to speed, feeling loved, and understanding the language as quickly as possible.
Yeah, totally.
Upon that note, it's been amazing hanging out with you. I'm actually off to go have dinner with some awesome friends now, and continue the party.
Enjoy some more vino.
That's right. The Friends with Vino. Guys, thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure and honor chatting with you again. And Quinton, love chatting with you.
Thank you.
Please jump on marketingwithvino.com and find a little button that says join the Marketing with Vino Club. It's our gift to you. It's a private Facebook group where our peeps can hang out. You have instant access to our latest podcast. You can ask questions and share some stuff with us. And, that way the conversation can go two ways. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Ciao, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Marketing with Vino. If you enjoyed this episode and want to access the resources discussed in this episode, go to marketingwithvino.com and select which episode you've listened to.